Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Welcome once again to another edition, a belated edition, but another edition of the Ministry of Horror. I'm your host, Tezz, and yeah, it seems like a little while since we did the last one. I can't actually recall when the last one went out. Let me have a little goosey gander. It was the live show, so would that have been November? Oh gosh. Oh golly gosh. It has been a little while. We did a live show on Twitch, and I've sort of it's a regular discussion point on this podcast. Hit that lull where I just can't decide on what to watch. Nothing is jumping out at me. Struggling to make a decision on what to stream, whether to rent anything. But I did manage to get to the cinema a couple of weeks ago. Last week, maybe actually. I don't know. It's all been a blur. It's been a very, very hectic couple of weeks. And I went to see Predator Badlands. So later on, we do have a review of that. And I did manage to actually watch another film last night. After probably, again, another hour of deliberating on what to actually select and put on. Finally got around to seeing the adaptation of the Stephen King, or Richard Bachman, novel, The Long Walk. Watched that on Prime. Rented it on the Prime store last night. So we do have those to review a bit later on, and we're going to get to some news. There's not a huge amount of news to get through, but yeah. Other than that, gaming wise, has been Alan Wake 2. Really, I did play a bit of Silent Hill F, but to be honest, I didn't really find that was for me. I didn't really get on board with that one, to be honest. I tried it for a bit. I did a little bit of like a 15-minute stream. And I gave up pretty quickly, probably too quickly, but I gave up. I was just like, I'm not vibing with this. I'm not vibing with it. So now I've been continuing on with Alan Wake 2. I think I'm probably about 60 to 70% through, maybe a bit more. I'm definitely, getting towards the home stretch of the game, and it is good. I mean, it's a game that I've been playing on and off for. When did it come out? 2023, something like that. So I have been playing on that for a little while, but it's play horror video games with headphones on, lights off, music up loud. That's the way they should play it. I'd fallen into the habit for a long time of playing games while listening to a podcast, and I think that's fine for sports-based games where it's just the same commentary that you've heard over and over again. But narrative-focused games, you can't get engaged, you can't get focused, you can't get suckered into the story. It just doesn't work like that, right? So, actually paying attention to the game has been a lot more immersive, a lot more fun. So, I've been enjoying that. But one thing that I was hoping to do for a bit more of a bumper show this week, before realising that I just had completely not taken in the time scale, I was going to do a show on a review of It, Welcome to Derry, and then also just a general review on the iterations of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The adaptations, how... Ooh, I'm messing with my lights. Let's just bring the temperature up a little bit. Make that a bit cooler. There we go. This is why you shouldn't mess around with settings while doing a podcast. Not a good idea. Anyway, so but then I realised it wasn't actually the finale this week. There is another episode. So when that episode of Ministry of Horror does come around, we will be discussing full spoilers. When I get to the point of the review, I'll give a general review. But when I then get into the discussions on Pennywise, I will be doing full spoilers of It, Welcome to Derry. So be warned. I'm loving it so far. The reviews that came out before the show aired, like the critic reviews, were giving it, good solid 7 out of 10, decent, but not amazing, but decent. I mean, I think personally this has been way better than Alien Earth. Obviously, very different series, very different properties, completely different settings, completely different, styles. But in terms of horror TV entertainment on a weekly basis, I'm having a much better time. Like Alien Earth was decent. Alien Earth, to me, that was a solid 7 out of 10. You had some great moments early on. Flashback episode was great. The narrative paths for some of the characters and the general development as it went on. More things that I wasn't vibing with than I was. But with it, Welcome to Derry, I think the only thing that I could say being a bit of a negative on the very odd occasion, because it's not actually that often, sometimes the CGI is a bit ropey. And I'd say that probably the worst offender is episode 3? I think it might have been episode 3 in the graveyard, or that might have been episode 2. That's probably the worst offender for the CGI. But I mean, I'm really enjoying it. The fact that I'm such a huge Stephen King fan would normally make me think, oh, they're changing this, they're adding this to the lore, that wasn't in the book, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but it's an adaptation. If you want to have it exactly as per the book, then you've got the book. Read the book, okay? I'm sure you don't want it exactly as per the book, and anyone who's read the book will know, no. Yeah. Whereas with the TV series, the backstory, I've been really, really digging the backstory. The development there, I like all the little Easter egg nods. It's been really good so far. So the trailer for episode 8, it looks pretty wild. I have high hopes they'll stick the landing. I can't see there being a huge disappointment unless it goes the route of It Chapter 2, where the protagonists use mean words to beat Pennywise, because that was absolute bullshit. It was bullshit in It Chapter 2. I mean, in my opinion, if you liked it, great. For me, I loved It Chapter 1, and It Chapter 2, I was like, oh, it's not as good, really, is it? But yeah, so that will be the next episode. So hopefully next week, I'm going to try and, get back on the swing of things with regular scheduling. And we will also do another retro bonus podcast for the Patreon. So patreon.com/Ministry of Horror. Give the channel a follow. If you want to subscribe and support the channel, there's different tiers that you can do that there, starting at I think like $5. If you want to buy me a monthly cup of coffee, it'd be very much appreciated because I love my coffee. But also there are free memberships where you'll just get the blogs, which should be weekly. I'm not going to say that they are weekly. They should be weekly. And additional content as and when it goes up. But yeah, follow socials. TikTok, again, we're getting close to like 900 followers now. It's considering I have not been posting all that regularly. It's been steadily growing, which is great. I did my first video today, which is jumping on a trend. The trend going around at the moment is the John Hamm dancing in a nightclub transition. So I have jumped on that. I'd seen a few of them, and I was like, man, the music's pretty good in this. And I'd said to my wife, that I wanted to do one of those. I don't know what on, though. And she just said, oh, you could say that there's a new Sidney Sweeney film and that your wife has suggested we go watch it. Because the transition being then, he's like, oh, I'm in heaven. So I was like, you know what? Good idea. And I mean, it's had the most views that an Instagram reel for Ministry of Horror has had. So, very, very cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, follow the socials. Anyway, we're going to just dive into the horror news. Keep this train a-rolling. As per usual, the horror news comes from bloodydisgusting.com. Be sure to check them out for your horror news on socials. So, as of this past Friday, the 10 new horror films that released last week comes from John Squires. Based on Norwegian folklore, Troll was a massive hit for Netflix back in 2022, and the Norwegian monster movie gets a giant-sized sequel with Troll 2, now streaming on Netflix. Original director Roar Uthaug, writer Espen Jolken, and producers Espen Horn, Christian Strand, Sin Kirud of Motion Blur are back at the helm. Inge Marie Wilhelm, Kim Falk, Mads Sjordgaard Peterson return to star in Troll 2, joined by fierce newcomer Sarah Korami to confront a terrifying new troll. When a dangerous new troll is awakened, unleashing devastation across Norway, beloved adventurers Nora, Andreas, and Captain Chris are thrust into their most perilous mission yet. To stop the creature's ruthless rampage, they must enlist new allies and delve into the country's ancient history, searching for answers. As the clock ticks and the troll's path of destruction grows wider, our heroes face impossible odds in their fight to save their homeland from falling into darkness. So I don't think we've done a show since the first 4 episodes of season 5 of Stranger Things dropped, but I loved it. I really want to go back and rewatch the prior series, because I'm back. I'm fully back on Stranger Things, and I thought the finale of the 4th episode, Chef's Kiss, great, loved it. Anyway, I haven't seen Troll. Initially, when I saw this in the headlines, I was thinking Troll Hunter. I think there was there not meant to be a sequel to Troll Hunter at some point? But no, I've not seen Troll, so therefore jumping in at Troll 2. I mean, I spend a long time scrolling for things to watch, so maybe I should actually go, you know what? Let's give the Troll double bill a go. But then I might get flashbacks to the Troll 2, the so bad it's good, but it is still flipping terrible 80s film. Okay, next up. Director Philip W. De Silva's Swedish cave wraith horror movie From Darkness was released onto VOD outlets this past Tuesday, also streaming exclusively on Screenbox. In the film, the park ranger Angelica seeks the help of her former boyfriend Victor, a dog handler, to search for a missing woman in a dangerous nature reserve in Sweden. The search is complicated by a disturbing myth about the cave wraith, a vengeful spirit from the Nordic folklore that once lured miners into their deaths in the reserve's treacherous caves. As they delve deeper into the forest, Victor starts to question his own sanity, and whether the rumoured wraith is more than just a myth. To make matters worse, Angelica and Victor share a painful history with the haunted place. 2 years ago, they were unable to locate a child who vanished there during a storm, causing a rift between them that is yet to heal. Victor must now confront his troubled past and work together with Angelica to survive the night and unravel the mystery behind the woman's disappearance. Sounds pretty interesting. We don't get Screenbox in the UK, so until that lands on a streamer, I probably won't watch it. If I hear good reviews, or if I get a screener, I haven't had many of those recently, I'll for sure give it a watch. But yeah, we don't get Screenbox in the UK, so hopefully it lands on Prime Video or Tubi or something like that. Next, a mind-altering drink makes employees work themselves to death in Kombucha, a workplace horror comedy described as David Cronenberg meets The Office. Kombucha is now available on VOD outlets at home. In the film, trapped in a fluorescent-lit cubicle farm, an aspiring musician thinks the free break room kombucha is a perk, until it begins to change him. What starts with suspicious smiles and team building ends in a bile-drenched metamorphosis. Jake Myers directs from a script he co-wrote with Jeff Bacon based on their 2023 short film of the same name. Terence Carey, Claire McFadden, Paige Bourne, Jesse Kendall, and Sharon Alvarez star. That sounds like my sort of thing. I guess, when it comes to a horror comedy, it's just getting that balance. It's getting that balance right, because it is tough. And David Cronenberg meets The Office. I mean, you could think that the Office comparison is it's an Office-based thing with comedy elements, but if it has the comedic tone of The Office, which I guess is hard to do unless you're a mockumentary, then yeah. I mean, I think it sounds interesting enough, but as I say, horror comedy, tough. That has got to be one of the tougher genres, because if it isn't humorous, then it's where's the comedy? Anyway, next up, Nature pushes back in Savage Hunt, which utilises a real bear in addition to visual effects. The survival thriller was released on digital this past Tuesday via Shout Studios. Savage Hunt follows a vengeful tracker who is brought in to hunt down a large grizzly bear that begins attacking humans when a new local resort is being built. Roel Rain directs from a script by Chad Lowe and Christopher Joly. James Oliver Wheatley, Fontinia Papathorodorou, Prior Blackburn, Anthony Barclay, and Colin Mace star in the killer bear horror movie Savage Hunt. This is the sort of thing that my wife would love. She loves a creature feature, animal attack film. Yeah, worth a watch. I mean, we watched a little while ago Backcountry, and that's pretty good, actually. So, bear attack films, I'm not adverse to it. I mean, the Cocaine Bear I thought was kind of crap, but yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that one. Next, presented as a faux documentary, In Our Blood weaves a twisted tale of reconciling with the ghosts of our past and confronting the complicity we share in, I said the same word twice, we share in creating a world that preys on the most vulnerable. The found footage psychological movie is now available at home. Here's the official plot synopsis. Nothing is as it seems when filmmaker Emily Wyland teams up with cinematographer Danny to shoot an intimate documentary about reuniting with Emily's estranged mother after a decade apart. When her mother suddenly goes missing, possibly succumbing to the addictions that first tore her family apart, Emily and Danny must piece together increasingly sinister clues to find her before it's too late. Oscar-nominated documentary filmmaker Pedro Cos makes his narrative feature debut from a script by Mallory Westfield. Brittany O'Grady, E.J. Bonilla, Alana Ubach, Krisha Fairchild, Leo Marks, Bianca Comparato, and Stephen Klein star. Yeah, okay, interesting. Faux documentaries. I get suckered in by them. Not that I ever think they're real, but it's I thoroughly enjoyed Horror in the High Desert. What was the one I watched not that long ago that was actually really good? Strange Harvest. I like them. I like them when they're done well. They don't all have to be franchises, though. I'll just say that. Next, a videotape sends a man down a disturbing rabbit hole in Magnet Release's faux documentary. Oh God, they are pampering me up here. Faux documentary horror movie Man Finds Tape, which is now available on VOD platforms. In Man Finds Tape, after receiving a cryptic call, documentarian Lynn Page returns to her small Texas hometown to investigate haunted footage of events no one can remember taking place. But her brother Lucas' controversial past with a viral web series called Man Finds Tape forces Lynn to question if he or anyone in their town can be trusted. And the arrival of a stranger with chaotic intentions forces Lynn to confront her family's involvement with the deadly monster preying on Larkin, Texas. John Golson, Brian Villalobos, and Nell Kessler also star. Supernatural Chiller marks the feature debut of co-writer, co-director Paul Ganderson and Peter Hall. The pair previously co-authored the 2022 horror novel The Dead Friends Society for Encyclopolis Publications. Okay. Again, it sounds interesting. Land on a platform that I can watch it. Let's have a quick look. If this is on Prime, we will review this for the next episode. Amazon Prime. Let's have a look. Man Finds Tape. Just lots of sticky tape. Let's go to Prime Video. No. Funny that. No. Not here in the UK. Next, one that is getting slaughtered in the reviews. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is now playing in theatres nationwide. In the film from Universal and Blumhouse, 1 year has passed since the supernatural nightmare at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The stories about what transpired there have been twisted into a campy local legend, inspiring the town's first ever Fazfest. Former security guard Mike and police officer Vanessa have kept the truth from Mike's 11-year-old sister, Abby, concerning the fate of her animatronic friends. But when Abby sneaks out to reconnect with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, it will set into motion a terrifying series of events, revealing dark secrets about the true origin of Freddy's, and unleashing a long-forgotten horror hidden away for decades. Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon returns to pen the script, with Emma Tammy back in the director's chair for the video game adaptation. Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lale, Piper Rubio, Theodis Crane, and Matthew Lillard are back, joined by Skeet Ulrich, Freddie Carter, Wayne Knight, McKenna Grace, and Megan Fox. Jim Henson's Creature Shop returned to design animatronics for the film. I should stop looking at my phone while I'm doing the news. I'm ever so sorry. I'm sure the reviews for the first Five Nights at Freddy's weren't great, so I had no interest in watching it. I've never really played the games at that point. I mean, I've still only really played the first game and not got very far into it. But I actually quite enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's. I was very surprised by it. With this one, I mean, I don't think the trailers look particularly bad. I'm not entirely sure what's so bad about it that's getting slaughtered. It's got a 0% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's having a terrible time in the reviews. And Yeah, I mean, I won't go. I won't get to the cinema to watch it. You know, not that interested in watching it. I'll watch it when it comes to streaming. But yeah, if anyone's seen it, let me know on socials why it's so bad. And then, oh, okay. We talked earlier on about Horror in the High Desert. The fourth one apparently is out now. Interesting. Okay. What secrets lie within Majesty Ranch? Find out in Horror in the High Desert 4 Majesty. The new entry in the supremely creepy found footage series is just surprise dropped for rent for $4.99 or purchase $12.99 on Amazon and Apple TV with other platforms to follow. Let's look. Let's look. Have we got that in the UK or are we being rooted once again? Oh, it's there. It is there. Available for rent, £3.99. IMDb 7.1 out of 10. Okay. It's set. Horror in the High Desert 4 Majesty is set on a desolate Nevada ranch where a woman uncovers a long buried box. What's inside begins to expose a terrifying history she was never meant to find. Laura Felix Bass, Susie Block, David Morales, John Davis Walker, and Dutch Marich star in Horror in the High Desert 4 Majesty, directed by Dutch Marich. Marich launched the franchise with Horror in the High Desert in 2021, followed by Horror in the High Desert 2 Minerva in 2023, and Horror in the High Desert 3 Firewatch in 2024. I mean, Horror in the High Desert 3 I do think was creepier than 2, but I did think that 2 was quite a disappointment because I really enjoyed the first one. And I did find that by the end of 3 there was a reveal which I thought, what the fuck? What the hell is that? It didn't hit with me. And then it had, again, that sort of cliffhanger tease for a future entry. And by that point, I was like, are we just going to keep doing this? Diminishing returns. But the trailer is out. I haven't watched the trailer because I didn't even know this existed. I knew that it had been, a sequel was in development. But, yeah. I mean, I probably will rent it, to be honest. Just out of curiosity, see if it's any good. And it's only £3.99 to rent. So, yeah. Next up, in the wake of a select theatrical release on November 21st, the 1960s Euro spy throwback Reflection in a Dead Diamond is now streaming exclusively on Shudder. Helene Catet and Bruno Forzani, the husband and wife filmmaking duo behind Emma, The Strange Colour of Your Body's Tears and Let the Corpses Tan, write and direct. In the film, when the mysterious woman in the room next door disappears, a debonair 70-year-old ex-spy living in a luxury hotel on the Côte d'Azur is confronted by the demons and darlings of a lurid past in which movie maker memories and madness collide. The film stars Golden Globe-winning Italian actor Fabio Testi, Yannick Renier, Cohen de Boer, Marie de Medeiros, Celine Camara, and introduces newcomer Jaime Nguyen. Reflection in a Dead Diamond debuted in competition at the Berlin International Film Festival and went on to play notable festivals including Fantastic Fest and the Tribeca Film Festival. Fabio Testi, Yannick Renier, Cohen de Boeuf, Maria de Medeiros, and Jaime Nguyen star in The Wild Slice of Cinema. I think I've said enough there. Next up, finally for the new films, God, that's quite a lot here. So I really should have no complaint about not having anything to watch. 3 women are separated by time but united in terror in The Wailing, a supernatural horror film that has drawn comparisons to It Follows. It's now available on VOD at home. In the non-linear film, Andrea, a university student in present-day Madrid, lives a seemingly normal life until one day when her boyfriend is killed in a shocking act of violence. She soon begins to notice a mysterious entity that follows her no matter where she turns. 20 years prior, Marie, a woman in Buenos Aires, suffered the same fate. Camilla, a documentarian, learns of the threat that these women faced, but no one will believe her. Across time and space, these 3 unconnected women are bound together by an inescapable terror. Pedro Martin Calero makes his feature directorial debut from a script he co-wrote with Isabel Pena, Esther Exposito, Mathilda Olivia, and Malenia Villa star. I mean, you have me at It Follows. You have my attention. That's for sure. I'll keep an eye out for it. Next, in the news from John Squires, Golden Globes 2026 nominees include horror, quite rarely, Sinners, Weapons, Frankenstein, and more. So, just about 1 month before the annual award ceremony airs on January 11th, 2026, the nominations for next year's prestigious Golden Globes were officially announced this morning. Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein each received several nominations, and the two genre movies will be in competition for Best Picture Drama. Yes, that means 2 of the 6 nominees for Best Motion Picture at the Golden Globes in 2026 are horror movies, which reflects just how strong the horror genre's output was this year. Other horror highlights include 2 nominations for Zach Cregger's Weapons, including Amy Madigan's performance as Aunt Gladys, as well as small screen nominations for Bella Ramsey's work in The Last of Us Season 2, Jenna Ortega's performance in Wednesday Season 2, and Charlie Hunnam's transformative role in Monster, the Ed Gein story. Yeah, I've still not actually gotten around to finishing that. Again, I've got no excuse not to have things to watch. I've only watched episode 1 of Monster, the Ed Gein story. I've not watched Frankenstein yet. Reason for that, we were meant to be watching it with friends a few weeks ago. That then got cancelled to the following week. By that point, it didn't happen. So I don't know if I'm allowed to watch it or if I have to hold on for future viewing. I don't know. Anyway, Best Motion Picture Drama, Frankenstein, Sinners are up against Sentimental Value, The Secret Agent, It Was Just an Accident, all Neon releases, and Hamnet. Yeah, there's a whole bunch here. Blah blah blah. Anyway, yeah, there's a few Frankenstein nominations. Best Director, Ryan Coogler or Guillermo del Toro, along with a few other people. Yada yada yada. So either way, horror is getting some recognition, at least in the nominations at the Emmys. So, speaking earlier on Stranger Things characters are ready for battle with 9 interconnecting posters. Alex DiVincenzo writes, Netflix has released 9 posters showing Stranger Things characters as they prepare for battle in the wake of Season 5, Volume 1. Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Noah Schnapp, Gator Matarazzo, Sadie Sink, Caleb McLaughlin, Joe Keery, Natalia Dyer, and Charlie Heaton each received their own artwork, which can connect together to create one big image. With 59.6 million views, Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 1 had Netflix's biggest premiere week ever for an English-language show. The next 3 episodes drop on December 25th, followed by the series finale, which will also be in theatres on December 31st. Each volume releases at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET. Okay, so yeah, the artwork, it's just headshots, really. I don't think there's any sneaky background images there or anything sort of being revealed. But man, I'm hyped. I'm going to be away on Christmas Day, so I'm going to have to wait till. I'm going to be out on Boxing Day, so 2 very family-focused days. I'm going to have to wait. Oh God. Next up, some video game news. Get a glimpse of the horrors that await you in the new Dread Meridian trailer. Mike Wilson writes, following up on the Steam Next Fest demo that was released at the end of October, Level Infinite and developer Kukra Game have released a new trailer for the upcoming atmospheric VR survival horror game Dread Meridian. Debuting at the Upload VR Winter Showcase 2025, the new trailer offers a glimpse of the forsaken Arctic island known as Oglabayan. Level Infinite has teased an upcoming multiplayer playtest scheduled before the end of 2025. Ahead of the game's January 2026 launch, players can gear up with a slew of pre-order bonuses and a 15% discount available via MetaQuest. Inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, Dread Meridian casts you as Daniela, a researcher who ventures to a remote Arctic island in a desperate search for her missing twin sister, Isabella. In this frozen wasteland, players will scavenge for resources, solve cryptic puzzles, and come face to face with unimaginable creatures while unraveling the mystery of Isabella's disappearance. It will be up to players to choose how best to utilize their limited resources and customizable weapons to battle the island's hostile monsters with intense VR combat and tactical decisions. When ammo is low, players can pull out their trusty knife and fight to their last breath. Dread Meridian will be available for PC via Steam VR and MetaQuest 2, 3, and 3S. Yeah, I've never got on with VR because I get motion sickness. Although, for the wedding, my wife got me these little motion sickness patches that you put behind your ear or on your navel, and they do work. So that's not enough to entice me to get VR again. I had it briefly a little while. I think I had a Quest 2. But Nah. And then finally on the news, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, is Searchlight's biggest trailer launch ever with 68 million views in 24 hours. Alex DiVincenzo writes, Ready or Not 2, Electric Boogaloo, Here I Come has become Searchlight Pictures' biggest trailer launch ever with 68 million views in its first 24 hours, Deadline reports. Viewership spanned TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Reddit. The record was previously held by A Complete Unknown, whose trailer debuted to 48 million first-day views last year. Ready or Not 2 also delivered one of Searchlight's strongest organic openings ever, ranking third among the studio's trailer launches. The strong response bodes well for the sequel, which opens in theatres on April 10th, 2026. Picking up moments after the all-out attack from the Ledomas family, Grace discovers she's reached the next level of the nightmarish game, and this time with her estranged sister Faith at her side. Grace has one chance to survive, keep her sister alive, and claim the high seat of the council that controls the world. 4 rival families are hunting her for the throne, and whoever wins rules it all. Radio Silence's Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, direct from a script by Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murphy, all returning from the first film. Samara Weaving is back to star with Catherine Newton, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Sean Hattersley, Nesta Carbonell, David Cronenberg, Elijah Wood, Kevin Durand, Olivia Cheng, Varun Sarang, and Daniel Bien. Yeah, I previously said on the show that I enjoyed Ready or Not. Did I think a sequel was necessary? No, it felt like we had a pretty definitive ending at the first film. I mean, my concerns, I feel, have been pretty alleviated by the trailer. You know, it looks good. Like, how could I have not had faith in Radio Silence? Really, you know, the trailer looks good. The cast looks great. It looks like they're having fun. The stakes have been raised. Yeah, I'm going to hopefully try and get to the cinema to see this one. I think the Radio or Not must have come out during the Panny D. I definitely feel like the cinematic release passed me by, but yeah, I would definitely be up for watching this one at the cinema for sure. Anyway, Ghouls and Fiends, that is it in horror news. We're going to jump straight into the reviews, and we're going to start off with the Stephen King adaptation, when he wrote as Richard Bachman, his pseudonym, of The Long Walk. Now, with all these reviews on the Ministry of Horror, what I do is I'll give you my my highs, my lows, and score out of 10 with a little bit of the blurb of the film, without really going into teasers. So, The Long Walk's a 2025 American dystopian survival thriller directed and produced by Francis Lawrence from a screenplay by J.T. Molnar. J.T. Molnar of Strange Darling fame. Hiccups now. The film stars Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Garrett Waring, Tut Neon, Charlie Plummer. Who's Charlie Plummer in this? Right. Ben Wang, Roman Griffith Davis, Josh Hamilton, Judy Greer, and Mark Hamill. Set in a dystopian 1970s, the film follows 50 boys in an annually televised competitive walking marathon meant to inspire viewers. Each boy must maintain a pace of 3 miles per hour of non-stop walking for days, and failure to do so after 3 warnings results in death. The boy who lasts the longest wins a large cash prize and the fulfillment of one wish of their choice. Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the blurb right there. I can get into how I normally do this as the start of the plot, but really that's a good blurb for the setup. I mean, we're focusing on a character called Ray Garrity, who's from Maine, where this year's walk is going. And it's basically in a slightly alternate future where war has devastated things and rationing is incredibly hard. And so to inspire a hard work ethic, patriotism, and basically belief in this totalitarian government system, boys volunteer, or they ever really volunteer, in the Long Walk, an opportunity to, improve their life and their family's life and whatever. But, it's a severe economic depression. And this is all being, put out on TV. But as they're going on this walk, they're going through this really desolate areas where there just aren't really any people. You get the odd person coming along, but, it's really not like kind of all it's cracked up to be. And, you get 3 warnings and he gets shot. And it's brutal. In terms of like gore in this film, it's not very gore heavy. It's more of a character piece. It's a drama at heart. But there are a couple of moments. One lad throws a punch at another character, and they're really quite weak from walking for days, and they stumble and slice their face open on the pavement. That's grim. Another kid got his face shot off. It's very dark, but the real standouts on this are the relationship between Cooper Hoffman's Ray and David Johnson's Pete. I think wait a minute. Let's look. Yeah, Pete. Who are both very selfless individuals. It's their communication together that really kind of is the pulling piece of this. And there's a larger group, that all work together, but they are the stars at the heart of this. And through conversations, you get a bit more of an understanding of their backstory, especially Ray. Yeah. Do you know what? Like, for some reason, I think it's because I've never read the book. I was never really that fussed with watching this. Like, I'd heard good things about it, and the buzz with its pre-release, where screenings were done with treadmills, and you had to walk 3 miles an hour to watch the film, and if you stopped walking, you were escorted out, which I thought was a very, very cool way to promote the film. It just kind of passed me by. I think at one point me and some friends talked about seeing it at the cinema, but it just, horror films at the cinema are really only there for a couple of weeks, max, depending on how big of a release they are. And I think it kind of just passed us by, and the availability to see it in the first week wasn't there, and before you knew it, it was gone, or we weren't really that fussed. But man, this is gripping. This is gripping. Cooper Hoffman, I haven't really ever actually seen him in anything else. I believe his debut was Licorice Pizza from Paul Thomas Anderson. Not seen it. But David Johnson, familiar with him from Alien Romulus. And again, he's great in this. He's got this real kind of thick American accent. And obviously he's an actor, but he's a British guy, and he's incredibly convincing in that role. So David Johnson, I see big things for that actor. He's incredible in this. Really, really strong performance. Along with Charlie Plummer playing Gary Barkovich, who is he's a little bit of an antagonist. He's quite an antagonistic character, but that kind of comes from this deep-seated issue of not having any place in the world. Like, it becomes quite apparent that actually he just doesn't have friends. He tries to make friends, but in the wrong way, and he riles people up, and his mental state becomes quite a key part of his character. I mean, that happens with all of them because they're just doing this arduous, continuous walking, especially at certain points where they start hitting a bit of an incline. When you're already tired, when your body is starting to shut down, you've got to maintain a steady pace of 3 miles an hour, which is a good pace, and then you're hitting an incline. And let's say you've already stopped. Like, one question could be, well, what about the toilet? You've got like maximum 3 warnings, and those warnings only reset after 3 or 4 hours or something like that. So if you need to poop, you need to pee, you either do it while you're walking, or you drop and pop a squat real quick and have no prior warnings in that period of time. It's pretty grim, but it's a stark idea of the reality that they're living in while doing this walk. And also there's the whole idea where that you have to have camaraderie because it's such an isolating experience, so you want to get on with the people that you're with, but also ultimately there can only be one winner. So as it gets on, you're gonna see these people, if you are to win, you're going to see the people around you die, and how that has an effect. And do you put your own wants to win above the lives of the people that you are getting on with? It asks some very interesting questions. So, what score could I give The Long Walk out of 10? I mean, for me, it's a It's actually quite easy. It's a solid 8 out of 10, which I hadn't anticipated it. I kind of felt when I rented this that, okay, maybe it's going to be like 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10, but it's just a walk. It's just a film of people walking for an hour and a half, unless, there's other things that happen outside of the walk itself. No, it's essentially you get dropped off at the start of the action when the characters are amassing at the very start of the walk, and it ends at the end of the walk. With just a couple of sort of very, very short flashback scenes in between. But, you are on the long walk for the duration of the film. It's a great character piece. I actually think this is definitely well worth a watch. So if you're a fan of Stephen King or Richard Bachman, if you're a fan of... the horror elements come from the dystopian, dark... alternate future they live in, not necessarily it's over gory or it's a slash or anything like that. It is more of a drama piece, I would say, but with thriller tones, horror tones in there. The Long Walk, 8 out of 10. And then what I'm going to review now, what I saw in the cinema, is Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands, a film that I had a lot of trepidation about watching. Part of me thought, I want to see a Predator film in the cinema. I enjoyed Prey. I love the first Predator film. It's not a franchise that I have the same love for as Alien, as much as Alien's had quite a few downs in its history. I'm always more hyped to see a new Alien release than I am a Predator release, but that being said, it's still up there. But Predator Badlands, 2025 American science fiction action film, and the 7th installment of the franchise, directed by Dan Trachtenberg and written by Patrick Asian, from a story by Trachtenberg and Asian. Ella Fanning and Demetrius Schuster-Kolamatangi star in leading roles. We'll talk a little bit about the plot first, and then we'll get into my thoughts on this. Okay, so Dek is a Yakta, I can never pronounce it, runt from a Yakta Prime, who seeks approval from his father, clan leader Njorg. He vows to hunt the Kalisk, a seemingly unkillable apex predator on the death planet Genna. Before he can leave, however, Njorg arrives and orders Dek's brother Quay to kill him, deeming him too weak for the clan. Quay defies the order and remotely activates his transport ship to take Dek to Genna. Dek is forced to watch helplessly as Njorg executes Quay. Upon crash landing on Genna, Dek faces numerous environmental dangers from both flora and fauna. He reluctantly allies with Thea, a damaged Weyland-Yutani Corporation android whose team was destroyed while attempting to capture the Kalisk. Thea offers to help Dek track the Kalisk. Later, they are joined by a native creature that Thea names Bud, who marks Dek with its saliva. We'll stop there because there's a lot going on here. Okay, so the idea of a Predator film where the Predator is the protagonist is something that just didn't interest me at all. I've always thought, okay, Predator, antagonist, hunting, you're following the humans who are going to try and survive, etc., etc. So the idea of following this and also watching the trailers, I thought, okay, visually it looks good, it looks very action heavy. But my friend Tom posed a very interesting kind of thought afterwards when we came out of the film, because he had a similar sort of view going into it as me, in that how many times can you see a predator, which is meant to be an advanced killing machine that scours the galaxy, be taken down by a human? It kills a few humans, but ultimately gets taken down by a human. How many times can you see that? Valid point. It's a valid question. How can how can a race of a tribe, a race in its various tribes, be notorious for coming to the UK, coming to the Earth, hunting, but then being taken down, by another human? What about all these other aliens, the alien skulls that you see, which we do have a trophy room in this film, and it very wisely, I think, doesn't have a xenomorph skull in it. I think it's quite interesting to have the callback of the trophy cabinet in the ship, but not feature the infamous scene from Predator 2 where you see the xenomorph skull. I mean, it's the performances of the leads in this that are great. Dimitri Schuster-Kolamatangi, you feel for Dek. He is part of this cutthroat race where all he wants is the approval of his dad. All he wants is to be a hunter, and he is putting himself in a situation to hunt the most dangerous, unkillable creature in the universe. It lives on Death Planet. But his dad's just like, nah, no, he deserves to be, offed because he's too weak. He brings shame to the clan. It's brutal. And then coming across Thea, brilliantly played by Ella Fanning in this, as an android from Weyland-Yutani. You got that little crossover again with the Alien series, who are looking to basically, again, bolster their bioweapons division. In this instance, they're going after the Kalisk. God, it's a non-stop action thrill ride. I went into this thinking best I can hope for is a 7 out of 10, really. But the score in this works great. It really soars on the moments when there's the action fight scenes, whether that being Deck under threat of Weyland-Yutani, whether that being Deck fighting the various different flora and fauna on this planet, because all of it wants to kill him. It all works great, and the introduction of Bud. That's what you want when you have a bit of comedic relief in a side character. It's kind of cute, but it's also kind of deadly. It's also useful, and there's just a sense of humour there to lighten the mood at the right moments. Dan Trachtenberg has done brilliant with this, and I probably would say I actually prefer this to Prey. I enjoyed Prey, but Prey didn't blow my mind like it did a lot of people generally. I thought Prey was great. I thought Prey was a great film to get the Predator series back on course, because the very forgettable The Predator was very forgettable. Like, Predators is decent. Predator 2 is decent. It's got some shonky moments. It's not as good as Predator, but it's decent. The entries have been generally decent. The Predator, incredibly forgettable, unfortunately. I can't remember much about it other than the storyline being pretty wank. But Prey was a good, interesting take on the story. It had a good involvement in the series. Predator Killer of Killers, I haven't finished it. I don't watch that much animation anymore these days. I'm certainly not a big fan of that kind of CGI animation, which is animation these days. I need to just get on board and stop going, I want hand-drawn animation, I didn't really get too into that, because that felt like we're in a different time zone, a different era. Predator comes along, kills a bunch of people, gets killed by someone. We then go to a different era, and I get that there's a bit more of a wraparound story, which features in the overall mythos a bit more. But for me, I gave up, on that. But Predator Badlands is a lot of fun. Like, I will definitely be picking this up on physical media when it gets released. That's for sure. Is this the first time in Ministry of Horror history where both films on a double review window get the same score? 8 out of 10. Predator Badlands, man. It is well worth your time if you like a good action film. And I think maybe it's helped that I had the reservations that I did, because my expectations were low. But that's then meant it's been exceeded. I had a great time watching this. So Predator Badlands, 8 out of 10. Anyway, Ghouls and Fiends, that is it for another edition of the Ministry of Horror podcast. I will look to try and record a bonus podcast at some point this week on retro horror gaming. We did one on the Patreon on Silent Hill 2. Oh no, Silent Hill, the PS1 original. Check that out. Sub to the channel if you want. Check out socials. TikTok, again, we're getting real close to 900. Once we hit 900, I'm going to push for 1,000. Give it a follow, share it around, like, comment, all of that stuff. All of the socials, do all of that. YouTube, anyway, whatever platform that you watch the show on, whether it be the video on YouTube, whether it be the odd live stream on Twitch, I want to do more of those because they are fun, or whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, be sure to give the channel a follow, a subscribe, comment, give it a rating, 5 stars if you like. You can give an accurate rating, but just ideally not 1 star. It'd be much appreciated. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.